Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Wilness. I am a breast cancer survivor and the founder of Faith Through Fire. Our mission is to reduce the fear and anxiety that breast cancer patients feel and replace it with hope and a path toward thriving. We are very focused on the emotional well-being of cancer patients, so I am very excited to welcome you to the Siteman Cancer Center's Survivorship Part 5 webinar titled Mind, Body, and Soul Connections. The purpose of this webinar is to educate cancer patients and survivors on how the mind, body, and soul work together to enhance the health and well-being of individuals impacted by cancer. We hope that during this webinar, you will understand how the different types of mind and body activities work to improve your quality of life. So if you're just joining us, you should have received a pre-test during registration to assess your knowledge on the topics discussed in this webinar. And a post-test will be displayed on the screen to assess your knowledge after the presentations. So our presentation is going to begin with our first panelist, and that's Dr. Carolina Salvador, and she is the Director of Medicine, Wellness, and Integrative Oncology and Health Medical Oncology. And then our next panelist is going to include Miss Allison Cole. She is a board-certified music therapist for Kids Rock Cancer. And our final presentation will come from Mrs. Sarah Colby, the Arts and Healthcare Program Coordinator for Barnes Jewish Hospital. So after they all speak, there will be a Q&A segment included so that you can ask the panelists questions related to their topic in the chat. And so we will be monitoring the chat to make sure that the panelists answer your questions. And if you guys are all ready, we're going to start and begin the webinar with Dr. Carolina Salvador's presentation. Doctor?
Thank you, Beth, for that very nice introduction. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. So we are going to talk about integrative oncology therapies related to the mind, body, and soul connection. Next slide, please. And those are my disclosures. Next slide. So wellness is the balance, results as the balance of what happens in our body, our mind, our soul, our spirit. Without balance in those areas, we cannot have wellness. Next slide. So integrative oncology is being defined as a patient-centered and evidence-informed field of cancer care that utilizes mind and body practices, natural products, and or lifestyle modification from different traditions alongside, and this is very important, alongside conventional cancer treatment. So it does not replace conventional treatments, it just works along with the regular conventional treatment for cancers. Integrative oncology aims to optimize health, quality of life, and clinical outcomes across the cancer care continuum and empowers people to prevent cancer and become active participants before, during, and beyond cancer treatment. Next slide, please. So by the National Centers of Complementary and Integrative Health, this is the diagram of all integrative modalities. And if we focus on this area, mind and body practices, we have talked about psychological and mental health in the past. So today we are going to concentrate on this part here. So how other therapies can help our mind and our body work together to improve our quality of life. Next slide, please. So integrative oncology uses other modalities that may help along with the treatment of the spectrum of mental health disorders in cancer survivors, as we discussed before in other webinars. And it's also, we use individual patient-centered care via evidence-based approaches to help maximize healing and well-being. Next slide. So we don't act without the support of guidelines. So these are all the guidelines that have referenced integrative oncology and integrative oncology modalities, the NCCN pain guidelines, the ASCO, which is our main cancer society in United States, and the SIO is the Society of Integrative Oncology. Pain guidelines, they devise those together. ASCO guidelines for exercise during chemotherapy, NCCN for support care, and specifically for cancer-related fatigue, MSC's survivorship, and distress management. The AICR, the American Institute for Cancer Research, also has some great prevention guidelines. And then there is, in breast cancer specifically, there is some guidelines for integrative oncology modalities that have been endorsed by ASCO. Next slide, please. So this is a table that gives us all the evidence-based, so things that have been studied through clinical trials and have proven efficacy in treating symptoms of cancer-derived symptoms created by the treatment of cancer or related to the cancer itself. Like, for instance, for adult cancer pain, so this is the pain that is related to the cancer itself. You can use acupuncture, massage, meditation, yoga, and exercise. And we have good clinical trial evidence for that, and so on and so forth for cancer-related fatigue, for sleep disorders, anxiety and depression, etc., etc. And as I said, these are the modalities that we have great proven evidence. For other modalities or for that are not signaled in this table, we may have evidence-based proof that they may work, and is for that we use it in treating some of the symptoms. Next slide, please. And this is just because we are going to change a little bit trajectory. So I just wanted to put this out there because I think it's very important, and we don't point it out all the time to the people suffering from cancer, that you are not your illness. You have an individual story to tell. You have a name, a history, a personality. Staying yourself is part of the battle. And that is one of the things that we strive when we try to guide you through clinical integrative modalities. Next slide, please. So we are going to talk briefly about acupuncture. Next slide. Acupuncture is a modality, a treatment that is at least 3,000 years old, that was originated in China. And still we are trying to figure out how it works. It's amazing, isn't it? After 3,000 years, we don't know exactly how it works. But more and more we are finding new mechanisms on how it truly works, depending on the symptom. And the theory under it is that we have channels in the body that carry energy, and when there is a blockage is when disease happens. So acupuncture helps to relieve those blockages and thus improve healing. from whatever disease. There are very fine needles that are inserted into a specific points depending on what you're trying to treat, and is based on a system of wellness, activates the body or helps activating the body healing mechanisms, and many symptoms respond to this. Next slide. Thank you. How thin is a needle? Well, here you have a match that we seldom use other than for bonfires and things like that in the backyard. But this is our phlebotomy needle. So when you go to get your blood work, if you use your arm, this is the kind of needle that is used. This is a sewing needle, and this is the acupuncture needle. So it's really very thin, and we have even thinner. This is 0.25, we have down to 0.10 needles. So it's really, really thin needles. Next slide. Please, thank you. So people suffering from cancer and from cancer treatment side effects respond very well to acupuncture. And this includes things like the stress before a tests, chemotherapy side effects, radiation side effects, and surgery recovery. And research has proven and continues to prove that certain combinations of the acupuncture points treat common side effects from all these treatments. Next slide. Thank you. So in a nutshell, acupuncture works. Sometimes people say, oh, it's compared to placebo, sometimes it's not much better than placebo. But at the end of the day, do we really care if it's placebo or not? If it works and improves quality of life of somebody suffering from devastating side effects from the treatment of cancer, I think I will be happy just to do it, whether it's placebo or not. It's usually fairly safe in the right hands by a person that is fully trained in acupuncture. My recommendation to all of you is always make sure that you choose the right acupuncturist. What is the right acupuncturist? Is a licensed acupuncturist in the state, is an acupuncturist that has been dealing with cancer patients before, so they know what questions to ask. The other thing that you can do is before you visit the acupuncturist, discuss it with your primary oncologist and see what they recommend you. It has proven to improve some of the most devastating side effects from treatment and from cancer itself. We still need more research because we really want to prove and to know how it works. And it's like any other therapy. It may not help everyone, and it may not help a person that has a specific symptom. So it's like any other treatment. Sometimes they give you a pill for a headache that doesn't work for you, but it works for me. So acupuncture and all other modalities of integrative oncology and integrative medicine are exactly like any other medical treatments that we do. Next slide. And this is the Integrative Oncology and Health Clinic information at the Siteman Cancer Center, where you can find how to make an appointment. We have activities, we have the Integrative Health Clinic and the Acupuncture Clinic, and we will be happy to help you regain some health and wellness whenever you decide to visit us. And I will be happy to answer any questions at the end of all the 3 presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salvador. I really appreciate that information, and I love that you're so focused on quality of life for your cancer patients. Our next panelist is Miss Allison Cole, our board-certified music therapist from Kids Rock Cancer. Are you there, Allison? Did we lose Allison? While we figure out what happened to Allison, why don't we move on? Can we do that?
Yes.
Yes. Can we move on to Miss Sarah Colby? Okay. Miss Sarah Colby, while we figure out what happened with Allison, is the Arts and Healthcare Program Coordinator for Barnes Jewish Hospital. Sarah, are you prepared to jump in here?
I am. Hopefully we're.
Thank you.
Can we see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, friends. Good morning. I am 16 years into this wild ride at Barnes Jewish Hospital and Siteman Cancer Center as the art lady. I am not an art therapist. Unlike Allison, who's got amazing credentials for her music therapy work, I kind of came into this job as an artist. And I will say, the people who have taught me everything have been our patients and their family members here at the hospital.
We figure out what happened with Allison. This is Casey, Healthcare Program Coordinator for Barnes Jewish Hospital. Sarah, are you prepared to jump in here?
Are we doing okay now?
I think so. Why don't
Okay.
you keep going? We'll go back to Allison.
Are we go? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. So this is just a pure reflection of how I deal with my days, honestly. So I am showing you incrementally stories. And when Dr. Salvador, you put the quote up, I really was shivery because it really is important for us to honor our stories. I'm going to let you take this in a little bit. This is a beautiful journal that was created by a patient who started her cancer treatment at Children's Hospital and came over to the adult side. And I was so impressed that she kept this journal throughout all of her treatments. And it was this beautiful, moving journal of what she was going through. And she's probably the most optimistic, delightful human being I think I ever met. And so she's the one who really made sure that I understood how important it was for people to record the experience they've had. So this quote, never let a bump in the road be the end of the journey. And I'm telling you, that is the most major experience I have had working with our oncology patients. Art is one of those things that anybody can do. We somehow lose our taste for it as adults and we start to get very judgmental about it. We don't use those things that we delighted in as young folk. So adult coloring has kind of moved into a space for all of us. This is a beautiful coloring page that was created during the pandemic by one of my therapy students. And a patient was my guinea pig. We spent afternoon after afternoon together during COVID while she colored and told me her life story. And so it was this beautiful little entry point that you didn't have to do something that was so complicated that anybody can access the materials and the joy of just making something colorful. And so from this, I'm going to move to Marilyn Holzer, who received a stem cell transplant about 15 years ago. And I love this. She said this wonderful quote. We did a little tapestry exhibition. She made 8 pieces that reflected her journey, just like the journal that Carrie put together. Marilyn made a series of 8 tapestries that followed her recovery from bone marrow transplant. They're gorgeous, tiny little tapestry weavings. And her statement about this was just so marvelous. She said, while chemotherapy attacked the blight within, my body became weak and listless, and my mind became empty of words. Only my dreams were vibrant with bizarre shapes and psychedelic colors. Words still escape me, but it is my hope that art will prevail over words. I couldn't say it any more beautifully. So in the process of creating, people will find joy, comfort, reflection. There are so many pieces to what we do as human beings that can be reflected in creating something. Chris Roberts on the left, every chemo treatment, and some of you might recognize the chemo suites on the 7th floor of the Center for Advanced Medicine. Every chemo treatment, Chris would bring this giant easel, all of his paint and brushes, and a photograph of some place that meant something to him in Salem, Illinois. And so he would cheerfully and beautifully paint during his chemo treatment and invite anybody next to him to come and share in the joy. So every time he was here, I'd get a call, can you bring some paints for somebody who wants to try this? So through all of Chris's treatments and hospitalizations, he provided this generous suite of paintings to anybody who wanted one. And then on the other side, this is Kathleen with her 4-year-old painting rainbows in the art room. So leaving the boredom and the distress of the hospital room, a rainbow appeared from the hands of a 4-year-old and her mom painting together. And it was a tradition they continued with long after hospitalization. Harry DeBacker had a really devastating diagnosis of lymphoma while she was in graduate school. And she was a powerhouse. Everything that she made was also a reflection of the experience she was going through. And I just love this piece. It was acquired by WashU School of Medicine. She took the standard fashion statement of the hospital gown and literally cut it to shreds. So she created this glorious lace of both destruction and healing in this marvelous piece. So she took so much control over what she was doing in the hospital. I think there was some horror when the gowns became shredded day after day as she found just the right lace. Next to Carrie is Annie, who going through radiation was really afraid. And so she came up to the art room and she created Mr. Yuck, who was the stuffed symbol, human sort of what she was going through. So she picked all of these fabrics to describe how she was feeling. And she took this beautifully, hilariously kind of icky Mr. Yuck with her in her backpack every radiation treatment. And Mr. Yuck became quite the celebrity in radiation oncology. Unlike Allison, I have not a musical bone in my body, but I realize so fully and thoroughly how important it is for us to infuse our spaces with the celebration and beauty of music. And so I've been very fortunate over the years to have this crazy, great cadre of musicians who perform intimately bedside or publicly in the lobbies. And it really makes such a difference, I think, when people move through our spaces. Why not dance? Let's go. This was a group of Washington University students who did a dance flash mob and invited everybody to come in and hold that energy and hold that lovely space in celebration and in joy and in laughter. And I don't think that I would actually tell the story of art in a hospital without inviting Lulu the leukemia dog, this just bombastic character created by one of our patients who'd had 2 stem cell transplants. And she knew the way she was going to give back was to create this dog, Lulu, the leukemia dog, who visited everybody from radiation oncology to the chemo suites to our inpatient units and brought incredible joy incredible humor and incredible love. And my final messages, written messages. This is a child of one of our cancer patients. His mom was dealing with a pretty devastating breast cancer diagnosis and was at Siteman South County very often. And we were making little banners of encouragement. And I so love this. He made this bag for his mom, and she proudly carried it every time she came back for chemo. And the message was, be alive and free, as only a child can tell you. Never quit trying. I'm going to give you this final quote by Sulika Jaoud, who's this marvelous writer, who had written a really wonderful book. And I love this quote. Living means learning to hold the astonishingly beautiful and unbearably hard things in the same palm. Because here in this environment, tiny paintings and music joyfully shared in hospital lobbies, and hats knit with love, and sketchbooks filled with ramblings and rage and ultimately order. You know, as human beings, we have really no choice but to occupy these miraculous, beautiful, messy mortal vessels. When we create, it is a generous invitation into moments of deep emotion, fear, anxiety, pain, or joy, and strength and reflection and power. So on that note, pick something up, a crayon, a paint, a pencil, a needle and thread, and just make something.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I think what's really interesting about what you say is I think anybody who's been impacted by cancer knows it's a traumatic event. It's very traumatic being diagnosed with cancer. And what I think is beautiful about what you shared today is I saw a lot of opportunity for processing that grief.
Yes.
And I think that processing is absolutely fundamental to inner healing. So we're not talking about the healing of the disease necessarily at that point. We're talking about inner healing that comes from processing, and art can be such a beautiful way to process that grief. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've got Allison back, and Miss Allison Cole is our board certified music therapist for Kids Rock Cancer. Are you all ready to go, Allison?
I am. My apologies there. I dropped off, but I found a new
No, that's
connection.
okay. That's technology
It seems to
for
be working
you.
better. It is. Thank you for your patience. So I am
Sure.
Allison Cole, music therapist for Kids Rock Cancer. And a music therapist uses research knowledge as well as their own expertise to assess the needs of our clients, considering all of their needs, and we pinpoint a specific need and we provide interventions that are musical to help address that need. So today, one of the interventions that's really helpful is singing, and I'm going to recommend that everyone sing for your health. Next slide, please. Okay, so why should you sing? Okay, maybe you think, all right, I can't sing my way out of a paper bag. I'm a great instrumentalist, but I don't sing. Or, I was in school and, the music teacher paid me or told me just don't sing. But it's so important for you to sing for your health. Even, if some would say you don't sound great, just have a good time. There are really great health benefits. Scientific evidence indicates that singing can help reduce your stress, decrease your pain perception, improve your mood. For instance, there's a study here, and it really talks about outcomes for active singing interventions. So when you have the radio on, you're turning on your favorite music, you're listening along, sing along. Even if it doesn't have lyrics, even if there aren't lyrics to the music, just sing the part you know, okay? So if we go to the next slide, I'm going to have you to breathe with me and sing with me. This is an exercise that is a choir that I'm in, and it's a great breathing exercise. What we're going to use is we're going to use our diaphragm, okay, which is the large muscle below our lungs. It's kind of like, if you're you're improving your posture or you're exercising, you want to activate your core. Same way when you're breathing. So we're going to activate your core. Take one hand, put it on your chest. The other hand, you can't see it, but put it on your belly. And when you breathe in, you want to feel your belly pressing against that hand that's against your belly. And when you breathe out, when you exhale, you want that hand to pull back in. Okay, and the hand that's on your chest should stay as still as possible. So when you're breathing, you want that muscle, your core, your abdominal muscles to really give you that power. So just breathe with me. Okay, we're going to do an exercise where we go, and you just empty it out like it's a balloon. Okay, so let's breathe in and breathe out. Now, maybe you have a condition like COPD or some other conditions that make it difficult to breathe deeply. It's a practice that you can work on and really improve. So let's take one more really deep diaphragmatic breath. Breathe in. And let's exhale. All right, and when you sing, it's important to keep the deep breathing, keep that core engaged. There's a little bit of a piece of an excerpt of a song that we're going to do. And if you don't know the words, it's okay, because we're just going to laugh, all right? La, 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 la. Okay, sing it with me now. La, 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 la. Now this song is really great for using those abdominal muscles, because in the chorus you really have to control your breath. So try it with me. Lovely day. Breathe. A lovely day. I'll give you a break, you know it. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. One more. A lovely day. All right. Thanks for singing along. I trust that you were, even though I can't see you out there. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, when you're breathing, one thing you can do to help reduce your stress is to take those slow, deep breaths and breathe from your diaphragm. There's a study that it talks about the effect of diaphragmatic breathing on attention, negative affect, and stress in healthy adults. So when you're singing, make sure you keep that breath support, and it'll help you. Just deep breathing and diaphragmatic breathing itself can benefit your heart rate and your blood pressure, and has all kinds of fantastic health benefits. So make sure you're breathing well when you're singing. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to sing another song, I think. Yes, we are. Okay, I just learned this one. Oh, I guess I should tell you that last song, that was an excerpt from Bill Withers' Lovely Day. All right, this next tune I just learned. It's really easy. It just says, oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Okay, it goes, oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. That's it. You can sing it with me. I know you can. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Okay, your turn. Let me hear it now. Oh, 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 come on now. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. There you go. I see it. One more time. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. She says, it feels good, don't it? You only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Only, come on, sing with me now. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. All right, that was an excerpt from Megan Trainor's Good to Be Alive. Okay, next slide, please. So, in using singing, sing during your ADLs. I'm telling you, I know everyone's experienced this. Just don't forget to sing along. For me, I have a morning playlist sometimes that I listen to. And oftentimes, I'm not singing along, but when you sing along, it can really help to decrease your pain perception. You know, you can have an alternate, you're alternately engaged, you're actively engaged in the music. So instead of those, negative things that you remember, or like, oh goodness, it really is difficult to reach down here and wash this foot, or whatever it is you have to do. If you just keep singing, it can really be a strong alternate means of engagement to get you through your day. So maybe you need to get a playlist going. You could do it on YouTube. YouTube, the free version has commercials and what have you, but you can create a playlist. Or maybe it's good to invest in a streaming service, or invest in, you could purchase YouTube Music. I use Spotify, others use Apple Music, whatever you'd like to do. But just get your music together. And research indicates that, our brain responds differently to music that we find pleasant and music that we find unpleasant. So I feel like it's important for you to just pick the songs that you feel good about, and put them in a playlist and just get them going and sing through your day, hum if there's no music around, to help decrease your pain perception during your ADLs. Okay, I think we've got one more tune. If you would go to the next slide, please. Okay. This one, everybody, well, I don't know if everybody knows it, but if you don't know it, all you have to do is say, with a little help from my friends. With a little help from my friends, okay? All right. So all you have to do is say, with a little help from my friends, all right? With a little help from my friends. You don't have to worry about what's in the middle. With a little help from my friends. Let's hear you do it this time. Come on. I'm telling you, I can almost hear you out there. With a little help. Uh-huh. All right. I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. Gonna try with a little help from my friends. Come on now. Get by with a little help from my friends. Said I get high with, Gonna try with Get by with a little help from my friends. A little help from my friends. All right, folks. Oh, I'm telling you, just beautiful voices out there. So if we go to the next slide, finally, sing with others to improve your mood. There's a study there, Singing for Well-Being, Formulating a Model for Community Group Singing Interventions. So maybe there's a community choir you could join. Maybe there's a choir in your faith community. Or maybe you just need to invite some folks to go with you to karaoke, sing with friends. Make sure and get up there and sing a song, I'm telling you. But it's just, don't miss out on the positive effects of improved mood and, socialization. And singing with others really can improve bonding. So maybe singing with your family, get some folks to sing with you, and it'll just improve, your health. So Finally, next slide, please. In review, if you are taking your post-test after this, you can sing for your help, take slow, deep breaths to reduce stress, sing during your ADLs to decrease pain perception, and sing with others to improve your mood. And don't worry about how you sound, okay? Just get those health benefits. All right, so thanks for your time. Final slide. It's me, Allison Cole, music therapist, Kids Rock Cancer. Thank you so much for your time.
Allison.
Keep singing. All right.
Thank you so much. You're gonna be glad I was on mute when I was singing along. That's not therapeutic at all to hear my voice, but I appreciate you. You got a beautiful voice. All right, I believe we were at the question and answer part of the webinar. So I am looking at our chat to see kind of what kind of questions you all have. The first one I have for Dr. Salvador. Dr. Salvador, so this patient's saying a lot of us that have cancer experience a lot of anxiety when it comes to testing. We call it a faith through fire. We call it scanxiety. And so a lot of patients will start feeling anxiety or depression leading up to their test. And then, of course, there's the inevitable waiting that occurs while you wait for those test results. So how do spiritual practices like meditation reduce those symptoms of anxiety and depression? And what would you suggest for somebody who's never done it before?
Well, meditation can help, prayer can help. There are many modalities that can help. Drawing can help, singing can help. There are many, many things that you can do to decrease the anxiety, moving into a place where you're gonna take your test to see how you're doing with your disease. I just think that you just have to look for something that works for you. Meditation is a wonderful tool to have, but it's something that you need to learn and practice. And there are different types of meditation. There is not only mindfulness, but there is also transcendental meditation, prayer meditation, even music meditation, and guided meditation that you can even find in places like YouTube, and put guided meditation for anxiety, and tons of things will pop up, and you can see it by listening to it. What I would recommend is, if you're gonna do that, find a place where you can be present, fully present, listening or practicing whatever you want to do, whether it's art, drawing, music, whether it's meditation, whether it's prayer, or whether
Yeah, I was going to say, I think what you're saying is really important, because I've noticed in our work with breast cancer patients, when you've been through the medical system and had to take a lot of medications, a lot of people are looking for holistic ways to improve their health. And so all of the things that you listed are things that are very individualized to what that individual finds helpful. And then also it's holistic, right? It's not a prescription. So it's something that they can do to be empowered, to really take control of that anxiety and that fear, and to really find what works for them. So I really, I love that.
And you can find places like Sarah with her art, or Alison with her music, or the integrative medicine with the acupuncture and the activities that we have, and many other places around town. Don't get me wrong, there are trillions of places that you can find help to learn all these tools or to have access to them. So just find the one that you think is going to work for you, and look for the place and start doing it. And if that doesn't work, we can move to the next one. And if you need advice, I will be happy to provide that on what to do or how to do it or how to approach it.
Yeah, sometimes we just need a guide to kind of show us the way, right? We have a question here about how can one make singing their mantra or a habit every day? Ooh, that's a good one. How do we make singing part of our care? Do you have any suggestions on that, Ms. Cole?
Sure. To make singing part of your care, maybe.
Or just to make it a habit.
Maybe.
I think just making it a habit, right?
Sure. Yeah. Just find that playlist, or if you want to create a mantra using music, just, choose a mantra and, choose a melody. Maybe you might forget it. I like to use voice notes sometimes when I'm creating something on my phone. I'll use my voice notes to record it and help me to remember it. If you're using music, maybe, to relax, maybe there's a little bit of a breathing, like a practice that you do, and you can just do it the same way to the same song every time. You know what I'm saying? So then you're like assigning relaxation to this song. So just by hearing the song, you automatically go into the practice. Or maybe there's a chance that just by, in an intense situation, if you just hum the song, it can bring back those same feelings, that same mood, the same relaxed state. So it's just, some of it is just being a little, maybe adding a little more intention into your day with the music. Like I said, just making sure, okay, I'm going to actually sing this time, and I'm going to engage my core, and I'm going to breathe. Just maybe making it a little more intentional.
In follow-up to that, do the lyrics matter? Because the songs that you sang were very uplifting. They had positive messages. Mindset matters. I think all of us feel that mindset matters. And so when we're talking about music, you may be feeling really down. Is that the time to listen to down music to validate that? Or do you try to lift yourself out by listening to something more optimistic? How do you feel about that?
Well, music therapists learn something called the ISO principle, and it's where music can change a mood or a function, or it can keep it the same. So what you probably want to do is start where you are, and then gradually lift where you are to a healthier place. Or maybe you're jittery, so you start where you are, and then you gradually come down to a healthier place. So it is good to listen to music that validates where you are, but if where you are isn't necessarily the place you want to be or a healthy place, then it's important to gradually change music in the direction that you need to go to get you to a healthier place.
Awesome. Awesome. We have a question about how can a patient access the art program? Sarah, can you elaborate on how they can find you? How that works?
Yes, I am actually in my nest right at this very second in the Center for Advanced Medicine. Because I'm a one-person shop, I tend to wander around the hospital phenomenally, horribly often. So I'm often not in the room, but I've had a lot of patients actually who have made an appointment to come in and play with me in the art room. I also have done I had a lovely experience with Dr. Salvador with the integrative medicine program this last spring at Siteman, South County, where we actually had a live, we called it a restorative art group. And so people could gather and be with one another and create art. So I'm going to give you, this sounds like an infomercial, but my phone number is 314-286-05. Oh my gosh, that's my cell phone. 0592. Oh, but I'm here at the hospital every day at Barnes Jewish Hospital, Siteman Cancer Center. So I'm pretty easy to find since I'm the only one of my kind here. So.
Which floor are you on? Are you on 7 with
I'm on 13.
Oh, okay, you're on 13.
I'm on lucky 13, yes.
Okay, wonderful. We have a question about acupuncture. Does it hurt? My experience has been that it does not hurt at all. I think it feels good. Doctor, what do you have to say about acupuncture and how it feels?
It all depends on sensitivity of the person. It's like everything else. Some people don't feel anything like you, Beth, and some people feel a lot. I have to say that most people don't feel anything, or if you do, you just feel that tiny little pinch. It's not even a prick, it's like a pinch where the needle goes in some of the points, and that may just be that point is the most active point in the system, in the group of points that I choose to treat the person. But usually, it changes from person to person and person's sensitivity. But it's never horrible. It's never like, sometimes blood drones. I put those as an example. It shouldn't hurt anything like that. So, and those are very mild, I think, for the most place, but for the most part. So,
Okay, we had another question for you while I've got you here. You shared a PowerPoint slide that addressed evidence-based alternatives that are commonly used for various symptoms or disorders. Can you speak more to some of the frequently recommended therapies for the various conditions? I took some notes on that as well. You know, acupuncture for nausea or hot flashes. I mean, for breast cancer patients, we hear a lot about hot flashes, which people don't think much about, but it can really affect your quality of life. Fatigue is a big one. Are there any modalities that you really gravitate to when people are suffering from that?
there are a lot of modalities that can be used. Exercise is one of them, and I love to stress that out. That number one, if you're physically active, and the other thing is to make sure that your nutrition, as much as you can control it, and depending on your budget and everything, is a good nutrition, that you're eating your veggies, and that you're not overdoing your carbs, because those are very pro-inflammatory, and those are gonna increase your pain or make you feel worse. I don't know if they can affect hot flashes, but everything affects the person. So by controlling the things that you can control, you're helping yourself, and you may be feeling better. The exercise is something very nice and easy to do. It's just walking, if you can walk. If not, I would suggest to find a pool and do the walking in the pool, or do a yoga class that is in a chair. So
Yeah.
there are many ways that you can do that. Those are easy, simple things to find and do, that everybody can try to modify and see what works best for them.
Sure. Yeah, I will tell you, during my own experience with chemotherapy, I couldn't do heavy exercise, nor probably should you, but just walking on the treadmill reduced my fatigue and the way I felt from chemotherapy drastically, just walking. And so I had a friend meet me at the gym, and we would just, she would snail pace walk with me, and it made a humongous difference. Not to mention that it's probably worth noting that exercise has been shown to lower the risk of recurrence. So many benefits to exercise. I think it's really, truly, and you might have more to say about this, about finding what you're comfortable with and just doing the small steps, right? So
yes,
yeah.
and increase it as you see fit. So you start slow, and you start with a short amount of time, and then as you get better, you increase it, and that way you will keep improving yourself.
Yeah. This question is for Sarah regarding art. How do we become more comfortable telling our story through art? If we're not an artist, if that's not natural for us, do you have any recommendations on how one might start to express themselves and really process their grief through art?
I think having done a lot of support groups over the years, I think doing something in community is really important. I mean, I'm really struck by that with Allison's work too. I think that when we gather together and somebody asks us, I think sometimes that simple invitation is this wonderful open door for people to be able to, first of all, share a story, but also to be able to, through that telling, be able to kind of control what it is you're feeling. I also think that therapy is a great thing also. And so I think that, if you can access that while you're going through treatment, I know Siteman's got an amazing counseling team, so that you're, I think, able to verbalize, first of all, and then using art in whatever form is appealing to you. Start small and just start.
Thank you for that. Allison, we have a question that says, how commonly are music therapists being used these days in cancer treatment? Can you tell a little bit about your daily work and how you work with clients there at Siteman?
Okay, actually, Kids Rock Cancer is a new assignment for me, and we're in the process of kind of restarting the program in early July. For Kids Rock, we'll be at some of the facilities and trying to get into more facilities But we're also providing therapeutic songwriting to kind of help the kids who are going through cancer and various blood disorders to process what's going on and to find strength. And a new program that we're going to be adding is working with children who are affected by cancer. Maybe they have a family member or a loved one who is going through treatment. And so the therapeutic songwriting will be used to help support them as well.
And how can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
I would say go to kidsrockcancer.org. There's a contact page. So reach out in that means to get in touch with Kids Rock Cancer.
Something else that you said, Allison, that I thought was really interesting is you said sing with other people. And I would love for everybody to kind of weigh in on the importance of connection during cancer. Cancer can be very isolating, and your tendency for some people is to withdraw into themselves, kind of keep their families at a distance, maybe try to handle things on their own. How important do you think it is to people's healing, inner healing, to have that connection, to be able to bring people in to support you during this time? And how does that work with your modalities?
Well, I think it's extremely important. And one great thing about music is no matter what your level of functioning, no matter how you're feeling at the time, there are many ways to socially engage in music, and it's appropriate. Whether you're just listening, that's appropriate. If you're singing, that's appropriate. You're dancing, that's appropriate. Playing an instrument, completely appropriate. So just having that music setting, and especially doing it with other people. Sometimes I just like to sit back and watch, people dance or, listen to others sing. I'm in a choir at my church. It's just getting back from COVID. And I was helping with the tenor section, and there were 3 tenors, and the other 2, they weren't singing tenor, but they were having a great time. And that's what it's about, that connection. They were talking to each other, and it's just really, really helpful. I'm telling you, even if you don't really sing that well, find a group that doesn't really care.
I think that's
they're just
another,
having fun.
important point that you make is that spiritual care is very important for a lot of people's healing. And so no matter what your faith is, there are chaplains at Siteman that can cater to your individual faith. You can get tapped into a church home or a synagogue that can really walk with you during your cancer journey. And having somebody pour into you spiritually can be incredibly healing. And there's often quite a bit of music in those settings as well, which can really help bring you out of your shell and connect you with other people. We do have a question regarding, do you need a doctor's order to be seen in the integrative oncology clinic or for acupuncture? Dr. Salvador, can you speak to that?
It will be very nice for your doctor to refer you to the clinic, but you can also make the appointment by yourself, and the webpage has all the phone numbers for you to call. So,
okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I believe that concludes. We're over by a couple minutes, but we had such good questions. I thought we should just keep going. We are going to do the post-test now. What's involved with the post-test? Is that something that you guys pop up there on the screen for them? Somebody?
Yes, it will be on the screen. Brad will put it on there.
Okay. Are we ready for that? All right. I got a thumbs up, so it sounds like we're ready for that. Oh, I see. It's a QR code. Okay. Just to answer a few questions. We'll give you guys a few minutes to do that, and then I believe they'll share the answers. like all right, so you guys had a few minutes to do a little post-test to test your knowledge based on what you learned here today. Here's what I've got. Integrative oncology is a patient-centered, evidence-informed field of cancer care that utilizes mind and body practices, natural products, and or lifestyle modifications from different traditions alongside conventional cancer treatments. I remember them saying that. It's not instead of, it's alongside. Here. What types of modalities are used in cancer care under integrative oncology? I'm waiting for the answers on that because I don't see them here. Acupuncture, massage, meditation, MBSR, yoga, or all of the above? And the answer is all of the above. Very good. Let's see. Next one's coming in. All right. Singing reduces stress, decreases pain perception, and improves the mood of cancer patients. True or false? I'm going to say that it's true. And does singing with others improve a patient's mood? The answer is yes. Yes, we talked about that a little bit. Any more questions, or was that, oh, we're still typing. Let me see what we got here. Okay, nope, I got a smiley face that says that's all. All right, guys, that's the results of the post-test. I want to thank everybody for being on this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Salvador. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Allison. I really enjoyed this time together learning about what Siteman's offering for patients' holistic care. If you guys have watched the other webinars, or if you haven't, go back and look at parts 1 through 4. This is part 5, but also stay tuned for more information. There will be a final 6th webinar, and the date will be forthcoming. But until then, thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.